What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Out here at the lake. Today I'm going to be going over my top 5 glide baits for this fall and winter time fishing. Glide baits are still a great bait this time of year. Wanted to give you guys my top 5 favorite ones. I did a video of a budget glide bait haul for you guys. Those were glide baits like $40 and under. All these glide baits are going to be $40 and above. My most expensive one I'm going to be showing you guys today is $139.99, so 140 bucks for the most expensive one. A lot of these averaging around 100. So if you're wanting a good glide bait, you're going to have to spend the money on it, especially one that's super durable. So I'm going to show you guys my top 5 glide baits for today, and I promise you, you're going to catch a PB this winter, December, January, February. It's a great bait to throw. Here's my bag from Evolution Outdoors. This is how I store all my glide baits. Got them all in the bag just like that right there. So let's start off with my least favorite, coming in number 5. Still a good bait, but out of the 5, this one's going to be ranked number 5. All right, just wanted to pause this video to tell you about today's video sponsor. Today we're going to be using this Kastking MGTI baitcaster reel. This is a 7:2 gear ratio. This is a 9+2+1 ball bearing reel, basically 12 ball bearings. It is a great, absolute slick reel that Kastking sent me. It has a titanium spool. This thing is super light. I have it on a 7'6" medium heavy moderate fast action rod. That's my go-to preferred 7-inch glide bait rod right there. This rod's rated up for 1.5 ounces. I throw a lot of 2.5 ounce baits on it. It has a really good braking system on it. I can chunk this thing and it never even backlashed. I just threw a 6.5-inch glide bait. I prefer a faster 7.2 to 7.5 to 1 ball bearing reel, especially when I'm throwing glide. So as you can see, I have the 6.5-inch glide bait right here, and this Kastking MGTI, just threw it out, no backlash at all. Great glide bait reel. They don't even market it as a glide bait reel, but I got my hands on this and it felt so good. The reel is just small enough for my thumb to where you never even really have to worry about backlashing if there is a lot of wind. It also has carbon fiber handles on it, rubber grips where you guys can really hold that reel real good. So special shout out to Kastking for sending this. If you guys want to use the code Georgia10 to save 10% off at Kastking.com, I have my promo code right here. If you guys want to go to Kastking.com, order you this reel. It is an absolute great reel. I've been using it. Also, I highly recommend these little treble hook keepers on your baits. Just pull the tab, take the hooks off. So number 5 I have on my list is the Buka Trick Shad. You can buy these for about 40 bucks, maybe 45. I've seen them as low as 35 if you can find them on sale, like at Bass Pro or something like that. This is a 6-inch ABS Trick Shad. Basically, it's a machine made, and I put it as my least favorite because this is the bait I throw if I really don't mind getting snagged, hung, and breaking it off, but it still catches big fish. Get you guys a little demonstration of how this bad boy works. So, not sure if you can see that. It still glides pretty good. Pretty good little bait. Try to get it over here in the shallow water where you guys can keep an eye on it. Like I said, this thing's about 40 bucks. It does pretty good for the money. Casts good. Has a pretty good glide. It tracks pretty good on that glide. Oh, got some grass on it. This one does blow out, and a problem that I've had quite frequently with this glide bait is sometimes I've had a few of them where it'll stick to one side and you have to really twitch it to get it to unstick. This one I've literally got a drill and had to drill out some of the stuff. So for some reason when they make it, sometimes they stick. But number 5 is the Buka's ABS Trick Shad. And I mean, honestly, it's a great bait for river fishing, fishing around big stumps and stuff. Like I said, if you don't mind breaking one off, this thing starts off for 40 bucks. So the Spro Chad Shad. Now these are gonna run you about $65, maybe close to 70. This is the natural shad looking one. This is a 7-inch glide bait. They're relatively heavy. They have a giant head on them, but that big head really helps them track pretty good. This is a brush tail glide bait, which is pretty popular in a lot of brands, but it comes with really good hooks. It's weighted perfectly. If you guys are not good at throwing glide baits and you want to start off with a glide bait that pretty much does all the work for you, like you get this thing out of the box, there's really no tuning or anything you have to do. I just realized I already have a snap ring on this one. So another thing is these Chad Shads sink pretty low. Some people like their glide baits to go deep. I kind of like mine running right on the top of the water column, but as you can see, it works pretty good. I'm trying to get, oh, that was terrible. If you guys can see that in the water out there. These are not wide glides, these are all chop glides. I'm not a very big wide glide guy myself, but I can kind of keep this up at the top of the water column if I really try. But these things, you can really chop them as hard as you want, and it pretty much never blows out. These things are a great bait. This Kastking MGTI, it's not even technically a glide bait reel, but this thing right here is a killer reel for this Spro Chad Shad. I think this thing weighs close to 2.5 ounces, maybe more. So this one's a lot heavier than that Trick Shad. But if you guys can see this chopping in the water right here, pretty good action. So number 4 on the list, Spro Chad Shad. Definitely add this to your tackle box. Some people might rate this a little higher than that, because really for a beginner glide bait guy, like I said, this thing's almost dummy proof when it comes to the chopping action. Now number 3 and number 4 were a pretty close tie. I could almost interchangeably swap these out. And the only reason I have this one at number 3 is because of the price point. This is the Strike King Hogfather Jr. glide bait right here. I think these things retail for about 45 bucks. So you're gonna get this for about $30 to $35 cheaper than the Chad Shad. This is a 7-inch ABS glide bait, just like the Mike Buca's Trick Shad. Now I did take the big split ring. It had already come assembled off. It has a rubber tail. You guys can just unscrew that, change out the tails, or replace the tail if you need it, unlike the brush tail. And I did a whole video catching bass with these right here. It casts great. This one does have a wider glide on it because it's a longer profile, as in it's not as big up and down. So if you guys can see that, I really like that it kind of floats. I like that floating action. Let me get it over here for you guys. Maybe you can see it better. This is a great looking glide bait right here. If you guys can see that. It comes with some really big treble hooks on it, and you can chunk it a mile. You can also burn it, and it does not really blow out. So a good glide bait is not going to blow out on you. Look at that. If you take this thing and you twitch it, and then on that last reel, it'll really glide to the side. Really good, if you guys can see that. So, number 3, Strike King Hogfather. Number 2 is an awesome bait. This thing is one of the hardest chopping baits in my opinion. This is also another brush tail bait, so you really don't have to worry about losing the tail. And it's at a relatively decent price point. If I can get this snap ring on. This is the Clutch Eco. This is a 6.25 inch glide bait. Brush tail. Now this thing right here, the colors are baked into the bait. Josh is a good buddy of mine. He sent me a few of these. Great guy, great local owned, handmade, resin poured glide bait. And this thing right here, like I said, the colors are baked into it. So like, I wish I had something. I got the old Allen wrench set, but you can literally hit this thing with a hammer, beat it up against rocks, and none of the colors chip off. because like I said, the colors are baked into the mold. So really, you can really abuse this thing and never have to worry about your paint chipping off, which is a pretty good quality to have in a glide bait. Now this one is one of the shorter ones, it's 6.25 inch. It casts like a charm. And the thing I love about these is you can really just burn it and chop the mess out of it. And they really don't blow out. I mean, I got it to come up on the top of the water because of how fast I was blowing it out. But sometimes I like to do that, make it look like a shad running from something. But all in all, this is my number 2 for 90 bucks. Get it over here, maybe you guys can get a better look at this thing. Trying to get it to where you guys can see this bait. Let me redo that. But I can cast this one in one hand pretty easily. It's not gonna wear your arm out. If you guys can see that. I've caught quite a few 8-pound bass on this bait right here. Number 2, the Clutch Eco. This is an awesome, awesome little bait right here. The number 1 glide bait at the top of my list is the Throwback Baits Metro Glide. You guys have seen me throw these in a lot of videos. This right here is the bluegill. I have the crappie, I have the shad color. My favorite thing about the Throwback Baits is the painting. These guys really take a lot of time, and you can see I got a lot of wear and tear on this one. You wouldn't have on the Clutch, but the paint schemes on these things, you can customize the colors on the tails. The tails are pretty easily able to be replaced, but it also is like another rubber tail, and the tails do pop off. I have caught big bass, had them shake the tail off, so I always keep some extra packs of tails in my tackle box. These are just like a standard black color. I have some more chartreuse gold ones. My favorite tail color is the chartreuse gold. It really helps it pop. And I like to have a nice color tail to really be able to see this glide bait. Because like I said, I like to get a good cast on it, and I like to be able to see my glide bait the entire time. And I can see that glide bait all the way out there. I get you guys on the chest cam, might not be able to see it. The only downfall on some of these Metros is sometimes you got to work these a little bit less choppy as you do the Clutch, because they will blow out on you. But it floats pretty good, and one of the things I love about these is they stay at the top of the water column, and I like to really just work that glide bait pretty shallow and see the glide bait the entire time. But these things catch giants. I've caught multiple 7-8 pounders on this glide bait right here. It casts great, it works great. And these right here retail for about $139.99. So this is the most expensive glide bait I'm going to be showing you guys in today's video. But this right here is the bluegill version. I left a lot of my colors at home, but I also have this crappie right here. I've caught some giant bass on crappie, especially lakes that are just full of crappie, like ponds and so forth, where the crappie are really overabundant. A lot of times these bass feed on the crappie more than they do the bluegill, or if you don't have shad in your lake. The crappie one was an absolute banger. Caught some big ones on that. I have the moon eye color at home. I have the trout version when I go striper fishing. But all in all, those are my top 5 glide baits you guys are going to want to be throwing November, December, January, and February here in the South. I get if you guys are up north, the lakes freeze over, you can't really throw a glide bait. But these work great if you're up north and the water has melted and it's around March, April, May, and the fishing's really good. You guys can use these up north as well. But all these are solid glide baits. All these are great choices. Buy whichever one you think fits in your budget. So if you got the lower end money, buy the Strike King Hogfather Jr. or the Trick Shad from Buka Baits. Like I said, the only downfall I have with the Buka Baits is sometimes that thing sticks, and that's been a pretty common problem with those baits. Sometimes you have to waller out the holes sometimes on them to get them to work right. They don't always come, you know, tuned right from the factory. These throwback baits, the Ecos, the Clutch Ecos, those are going to come from the factory already pre-tuned and going to be working perfect So when you go ABS style, the cheaper style, sometimes your glide bait's not gonna work right when you guys get out on the water. So keep that in mind, but if you got $45 or so, stick with the trick shad, the buka bait, the eco. If you got some more money to spend, if you got $100 or so, go with that eco, go with the throwback bait, go with the Spro Chad shad, and you're not gonna regret it. As you guys know on the channel, I've been throwing glide baits virtually all year long, catching giant bass. A lot of these lakes where everybody's throwing a little spinner bait or a chatter bait, or especially people live scoping with little bitty minnows, when they see a big bait come by them, they just act differently. They get aggressive. They get into this mode where they bite it, not because they're so much hungry sometimes, but just because it activates that primal instinct aggression to attack the fish, to tell it to get away. So that's where a lot of these fish I catch on glide baits they're just angry that a fish is near them. So those are my top 5 baits. Let me know how you guys enjoyed the video. More good things coming to the channel. Let me know any video ideas or questions you guys want to see on the channel. I'll get to them. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Peace.